Hello, Forsyth County. I'm Raphael Warnock, and I'm so sorry I can't be with you in person at this time. But please know how deeply honored I am to be running for the United States Senate in the state of Georgia, a state where I was born and raised, one of 12 children in my family. I grew up in public housing down in Savannah, Georgia. As I said, I had 11 sisters and brothers. I'm number 11, the baby next to the baby. We call that in my family the knee baby. But I'm the first college graduate in my family. I grew up in a home where we were short on money, but we were long on love, long on joy and patience with one another. And there was a lot of humor and laughter in my home. And with all that my family invested in me, I was able to go on to become the first college graduate in my immediate family. I went on to earn 2 other master's degrees and a PhD degree from Union Seminary in New York. And then about 15 years ago, I became the pastor of Ebenezer Baptist Church, spiritual home of Martin Luther King Jr., a church that's only had 5 pastors since its founding in 1886, and I'm the youngest person called to that pulpit. But more important than focusing on a position for me has always been the question of what will you do with the influence that you have? And so I've spent my years at Ebenezer Baptist Church standing up for the things that I think matter. Dr. King said that of all the injustices, inequality in healthcare is the most shocking and the most inhumane. And that's why I've been standing up for healthcare. I was standing up for healthcare long before this COVID-19 pandemic, but it's difficult to overstate how important it is at a time like this. When we were trying to pass the Affordable Care Act, I was preaching about it from my pulpit and arguing in the public square that healthcare is a human right. And when Georgia refused to expand Medicaid, I went into the governor's office along with other activists where we staged a sit-in. And we were arrested fighting for healthcare. I thought it was morally wrong and deeply impractical that we would leave 400,000 Georgians at that time in the Medicaid gap. And so they arrested us that day. I didn't mind being arrested because in a real sense, I had already been arrested by this idea that we could do better, that we're tied, as Dr. King used to say, in a single garment of destiny. I was arrested by this idea that if my neighbor doesn't have health care, then I too am imperiled, even if I have health care. That was clear to me. I could see that with a kind of moral clarity years ago. But now that we find ourselves in the midst of a pandemic, it ought to be exceedingly clear. If my neighbor coughs with a deadly airborne pandemic, I'm endangered potentially. I should want that person covered. It's morally right, but it's also enlightened self-interest. But not only that, I should want my neighbor's children to have access to good quality schools regardless of their zip code. I should want my neighbors to be able to retire with dignity and to be able to work with a decent, livable wage. I believe in the dignity of work. And so I've been focused on these issues for all of these years. I'm very encouraged because we've got a chance to win both of these Senate seats this year. Georgia is transforming right before our very eyes. I know it's dark, it's difficult, we're fighting against voter suppression, but here's the good news. We've registered 750,000 new voters in this state since 2018. 49% of them are people of color, 45% of them are under 30. We have a more inclusive, more diverse, forward-looking state. And we are on the precipice of making history. But more importantly, we are well positioned to make a difference. And so while I can't be with you on this occasion, please know that I am with you in heart and spirit. And I look forward to fighting the good fight, staying in what our iconic hero and my parishioner and mentor John Lewis called good trouble. Let's keep getting into good trouble. Let's make sure that everybody shows up at the polls, that our neighbors understand how very much is at stake. Because when we stand together, when we show up, we win. I'll see you soon.